Hey, Tunist, how you doing? How's it going? Just gotta make sure this is on the right mic. Yep, that's on the right one. Well, hello, my dear boss. Hello. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025. The year where either nothing happens or it's not our problem anymore. New year, who dis? Fuck you. Hello, everybody. As you can see, we reorganized the office. We are in a better headspace. Pretty good. Finished a Balthazar campaign and now doing Grimgore. Good for you. How are you doing? My office is clean. My office is clean. I'm fucking happy. Office reorg looks good. Oh yeah. We got the shelf right there. We got another shelf right over there. Like I can just show you like boom. That's where the helmet went. We reorganized all the books. And it looks so much fucking better. Ever heard of Dishonored games? Of the Dishonored games? Yes, I've heard of the Dishonored games. I own Dishonored 1. I did not get 2 because, guess what? I'm poor. Hey, boss, printing some Space Wolf bits for my New Year's pledge army. Cool. Are there any projects planned? Yep. Currently, the Malal video is done. It just needs to have some final edits, like Phoenix goes over it, does some spell checks. Go from there. As well as 2 other videos for this month. So we're ahead of schedule, actually. It's one of my favorite games. Cool. It's not the topic we're talking about today. I'm glad you enjoy things. How's Jeremy and Bob going? Oh, you know, living their best lives with their buddy Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog. Starting off with a custom Angels of Death kill team made with Mark III tactical kit. Cool. Also, sorry if I look a bit tired. Like I said, I just finished the video today. And I got a not so fun text from my brother. Just before preface this, everyone's fine. My mom's fine. But my mom got rear-ended today. Back of the truck's fucked. But my mom's fine. They're good. No injuries, just fucking truck's damaged. Insurance will cover it though, so that's good at least. So yeah, while I was editing, I got that text, which was not fun. So here we are. So, first stream of 2025, and it's about Warhammer. We're talking Warhammer today. Warhammer 40k. Answering any of your burning questions. Talking about lore and stuff. All the fluff, all the good shit. Because this year, we're going to focus more on the hobbies and the games and the animes. And then just like, someone comes in trying to be a spoil sport, trying to be a grifter, we just tell them to fuck off and leave because they're boring and they do nothing. They're just rage baiting losers. And we don't like rage baiting losers here on Announcer of Games because they waste everyone's time. They add nothing to the conversation. They don't improve anything. They just make everything boring. As evidenced by the female custodies thing, is that like they're still angry about it. It's months. Let it go. No one gives a shit. It's boring. It's just the same copy-paste arguments. They're all bots. Who fucking cares?
one debt to society later.
Real Sinestro, thanks for the sub. Then I have a good question. I've been trying to build a 40k RP game that's based more off of D&D games, so I'm going to Guardsman. What is a good Guardsman regiment research area? Two things. One, don't use the D&D engine for 40k. 40k already has several of its own engines to use. There is actually an engine for Guardsman called Only War. So, look that up when you can. The reason why I also say don't use D&D is because D&D is not a good engine for it. So, figure out a different engine if you're wanting to make your own. As well, if you want a good guard regiment to research, all of them. They're all good. The one problem that you're going to run into running a role-playing campaign with the Imperial Guard is that not everyone wants to play the same regiment. If you force everyone in the same regiment, it's gonna get messy real quick. Because not everyone likes Cadia, not everyone likes Catachan, not everyone likes Krieg, not everyone likes Armageddon, so on and so forth. It comes down to you need to let your players decide what regiments they want to be a part of. Because there's very few people that are all going to agree that, like, yeah, Cadia stands, kind of a thing, you know? Not everyone wants to be Acadian. Not everyone wants to be one group of people. Never got why people get so mad about the female custodies thing. I'll tell you why. Easy rage bait. It's easy rage bait to add to a bullshit culture war that honestly is so fucking annoying and boring at this point that it's just listening to the same people repeat the same talking points over and over and over that have been debunked, and the point still stands. The creators made it. Suck it the fuck up. It does nothing. It did nothing. All it did was just say, like, hey, there's girls here. Didn't change the rules, didn't change the game, didn't change the fluff, nothing. It did fuck all. It's pointless rage bait. Pointless. Just so a bunch of fucking weirdos can make some extra cash on some other weirdos' hate boner. That is literally all it is. And when you call them out on it, they get pissy. And that's why we don't even argue with them anymore. We don't even debate. We don't even, like, there's no point. They're just going to keep copy and pasting the same argument. Because that's all they can do. Because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter that the creators said, like, we did it anyway. Fuck you. It's not lazy writing. It's never been lazy writing. People will call it lazy writing. How is it lazy? It's lazy to just say, like, orcs can do anything if there's enough of them in one spot. Half the Space Marine battle books are fucking lazy. I could replace any fucking chapter in any of these books, and it'd be the same fucking book. Are you fucking kidding me? That's lazy. Because at the end of the day, all Space Marines are color swaps of each other, with a little bit of detail here and there. That's why I like you. Way too many people in this hobby let your fascist bullshit out with. It's not even just that. It's just a bunch of fucking sour spouts who are like, the lore is pure and should never be changed, even though the fluff has been changed like a million times. Like, the best example that I have. Here's Leman Russ, Primarch of the Chapter Master of the Space Wolves, founder and creator of the Codex Astartes. He's not handsome Viking king. He is Tube. 40k has never been sacred. 40k has always been actually. That is how Warhammer 40k has been since its inception. Stop taking it so seriously. It's fun, but like, Christ, there's a million other things to be mad about. If the lore never changed, we would still have squat battle trains on tabletop. Yes! Also, just saying, GW. GW, my darling, my dear. James and his workshop. Bring back squat trains! Don't be a coward. Fucking do it. Don't be a bitch. I love you. Do it. And Eldar Centaurs. Yeah. So, I don't want to hang on this too long, but the reason why 40k got dragged into this is because it's an easy target. Much like Star Wars was, much like Star Trek was, all of these different sci-fi franchises are easy targets for lazy content creators to start a grift on. So that way they can make money off of nerd rage. As well as a few other bad actors to spell out their fucking soapbox bullshit without, like, exposing themselves too much, and then they later on just do and no one cares because everyone's so angry and doesn't care. Because they've been so blinded by their anger that they're not hearing the person on the soapbox basically spout shit from, like, nearly 100 years ago. Because how dare sorry, I'm looking off the script. How dare women do thing, or how dare human being a thing? That's basically it. It's fucking stupid. The Black Crusades are a good example of a change as well, due to them being secret wins for Abaddon. Actually, that's not much of a change. Those have always been there. It's just that since Imperial players are the majority, they weren't reading the Chaos books, and a lot of the Chaos stuff got lost in the sauce. But yes, the Imperium always pushed back the Black Crusades. But in the Chaos books, it always said that Abaddon completed his objectives. It wasn't so much as the Imperium pushed the Black Crusades back, it was Abaddon completed his objective and fucked off. Because there was no point in continuing a battle when he had already won the war. Which sucks because the grift rounds out the fair criticism of being mostly annoyed with retcons and have nice, genuine discussions about how the setting could go forward. Well, that actually brings up an interesting point that I do want to make here. So, 40k is that unique property. It's that unique story. Because with how GW has written it, it is written from the perspective of the Imperium. You know, the bureaucratic hellhole nightmare where documentation is censored, lost, refound, lost again, found again, censored again, and the story is so muddled and muffled that everyone loses track of what's actually going on. It's actually why in the current storyline, Gulliman has a special group of archivists and data finders who are part of, like, the Torchbearer fleets and the Indomitus Crusade, who go out to all these different planets and basically, sometimes at gunpoint, point to these Imperial officials, religious people, so on and so forth, and say, give us your fucking documentation. Like, give us your records and everything. Your history books, everything, so we can fucking document it. Even the censored shit. And they're meeting stiff resistance from, like, the Inquisition, the Ecclesiarchy, so on and so forth. He also reinstated the Remembrancers as well. Exactly. But 40K has always been, since day one, this unique story where everything is true and everything is false. Because, one, in real world terms, this means GW can add to and drop anything from their model line at a moment's notice. Like, regardless of what you think, regardless of how much you love characters and such like that and models, that is not a bad business strategy, not gonna lie. That they can just add in whatever the fuck they want, and story excuse, it's always been there. It's just hasn't been talked about because, like, the record keeping is shit. Or characters that we thought dead just come back because, like, oh, the records were wrong, I guess. It allows for this fluid narrative. Now, say what you want, say what you want. Can it be seen as lazy? Yes, but then my argument is you tried to make sense of close to over 40 years of fluff. You try to make sense of all that. You try to keep it all together. It's impossible. Even like great creators like Akira Toriyama didn't fucking remember that Super Saiyan 2 was a thing. There were only 3 Super Saiyan forms. 1, 2, and 3. In the original run of Dragon Ball. And he forgot that 2 existed. He thought 2 was 1. Doesn't help that 1 and 2 looked almost the fucking same. Also, 40K is kind of in a limbo, ascending showcasing the stagnation of an empire, but how do you move this forward and still keep it stagnant? You just say the current events that are going on, and then you never elaborate. That's how they did it. Though, there is ways to keep the story going, but it's kind of like that we're stuck in this storyline until maybe next edition. Same with Oda. I love the guy, but he's retconned plenty of stuff to weave into his narrative. And this is a whole literary debate and discussion between what's a retcon and what's a reveal and what's new information. Like, this is a whole thing. Because if we're going to use the Custodes as a talking point again, Aaron Dembski Bowden, the guy who's practically the person who expanded the Custodes from more than, like, a page of fluff. Which, by the way, that's how much fluff the Custodes had for forever until they got their codex in 2017 or 2018. I don't remember when the 8th edition Custodes Codex came out. When did it come out? 2018. January 2018. When the Custodes Codex came out, that was the most fluff we ever got about them outside of the Black Books from Horus Heresy, which didn't elaborate on a whole lot. All of that curated by Aaron Dembski Bowden. The guy who was assigned this job to expand them out, flesh them out. Because they were barely mentioned in maybe a rulebook. I did like a whole archive, like a whole deep dive into them, and then I deleted my Twitter. But, like, they're there. They've been there, but there was nothing. The Custodes do not have a retcon. They've finally been expanded upon. And as Aaron Dembski Bowden and all the other GW writers have said, which, by the way, the corporation has backed up, there were always girls in the Custodes. The Custodes are the pinnacle of what genetic modification can be without gene seed. But to make that perfect being, it requires the resources that makes one Space Marine chapter. It's kind of like the argument between ODSTs and Spartans. Yeah, Spartans are amazing, but I'll take 100 ODSTs over one Spartan, cost-effective wise. To sum it up, it's essentially, yeah, they exist. Anyway, exactly. It's literally no big deal. It's the same as, like... It's the same as, like, the Silent King coming back. Something that was said to never be able to happen. It's the same as the Drukhari getting their own witch character. It's the same as, like, Shadow Sun being the hero of the Empire. These are not retcons, these are reveals. And they're not even reveals. They're just new stated facts. They don't change the faction at all. They don't change their personality. Whatever people say, people need to stop trying to apply real-world logic to 40k. People need to stop. We build our ships in space, yet we see our ships land on different gravity wells. Do you know what happens if we build a ship in space and then bring it to a gravity well? Gone. Ship's gone. Crushed under its own weight. It's not built to handle that. I don't know how to tell you guys this. I'll tell you guys this. But Tyranids are impossible. From our current understanding of science, something like Tyranids? Completely impossible by science. Like, logic left the room a long time ago. Space Marines can't spit acid. Like, we can't spit acid, guys. We spit acid, our teeth, like, Space Marines' teeth would be fucking black or falling out. How many atmospheres can the ship withstand? Well, it's a spaceship, so anyway, between 0 and 1. It's dumb. They need to stop, like, people need to stop trying to apply logic to 40k. Because there is no logic in 40k. What's your opinion on the Mortarion redemption theory? It's not a theory, it's plainly stated in Plague War, well, Godblight, that Mortarion can be redeemed. He just needs to wait. He just needs to sit there and wait. Is the only cost-effective way to get Only Wars via PDF? Yes. I don't understand why you wouldn't want female custodians. They're awesome. Better question. Why wouldn't you want custodies? They're awesome. Like, the fact that some of them are women are irrelevant. They're custodies. They are the bodyguards of the Emperor. It's completely normal that they would recruit exceptional human beings. Which, by the way, again, that DK book does not retcon anything. It uses extremely gender-neutral terms. And people are like, well, they use Brotherhood. Yeah, as a squad organization. Like, what? They're sisterhoods within the Sisters of Battle, but they still have men in them. So does that make all the Archoflagellants, all the Penitent Engines with men in them, all the Ministorum priests that are males, does that make them all women now? But this is illogical arguments because it's stupid. It's stupid. At the end of the day, that's all this is. It's stupid. It's just rage-baiting nonsense that takes us away from actual fun discussions within Warhammer. That's all it is. I'll be right back. My coffee's ready. I'll be right back. Boo. I spooked you. I scared you. I gave you the spooks. You beautiful people. I am the spookiest motherfucker to ever exist. I also hate the, oh, but it takes away from the sister battle. No, it doesn't. You can do both. Whoever said, like, okay, so when it comes to storytelling, you know what takes away from characters? I'll give you an example. Dragon Ball, where Goku's love for fighting is not because genuinely he is a fighter. He's a martial arts connoisseur. He's someone who loves to fight, not because like that's his hobby, what he enjoys. No, it's because of his blood. That takes away from Goku. Because that's not unique to Goku. That's every Saiyan. That takes away from him. That's an example of something taking away from the character. There are... The argument that Custodes having women in them takes away from the Sisters of Battle, how does that make any sense? That's like saying witches take away from the Banshees for the Eldar. What? How does one faction having women take away from another faction having women? How does that make any sense? By that logic, the Imperial Guard have nothing because the Space Marines are there. Like, what? How does that take away from them? It's nonsense. It's people that don't know how to tell stories. It's people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, trying to sound smart. And it's boring. It's all copy-paste. Constantly. As if they ever gave a damn about Sisters of Battle or Silence when they use that as an excuse. Yeah, like they ever gave a damn to begin with. Which, by the way, my sisters are coming along quite nicely. We're almost there, chat. We're almost there to a full sisters army, and I have plans. I have plans within plans. We have a new we made a new friend. We made a new friend thanks to Speed. By the way, next Friday, we're gonna be streaming during the day, but me and Lost in Spiral, and hopefully Carrots if she wants to join in, we're gonna be playing Halo. I'm gonna be taking Spee through their Halo journey. So that's gonna be fun. Also, if you can, go give our girl Carrots here a follow. She is an 18+ streamer. I have to make that very abundant, very clear. But she's really great. She's wonderful. Absolutely funny lad. Go give her a follow on the Twitch. It's linked on my Twitch. But yeah, she's really cute, really great, really fun. Can't wait to do more with her. I have plans for my sister's army, and she's a part of it. Because since her character is a cleric, we're going to be turning her into a hospitaller for my sister's army. If you don't know what a hospitaller is, it's a 40K model. Yes, sign in. I love Halo. That game so much. Stayed up all night and Buds, and then Halo 3 came out. Yeah, I'll be doing that with Speed. Not staying up all night, because they live in the UK, I live in Canada. There's a 7-hour difference there. So, like... yeah. Oh, that's a Dialgus, not a Hospitaller. Here it is. So we're going to be getting one of these models later down the line. And turning our friend Carrots' character into that. I'm very excited. I adored your last Halo stream. It gave me so much nostalgia for when I played all of them on Xbox 360 as a kid. Nice. Talking about Sisters of Battle, the Catharo tank Cathedral tanks can drift, and this is so 40k. Cathedral, you mean? And do you mean the Emmulators, the Exorcist, or the Castigators? Or the Rhinos? Yeah, please do remember to go give Carrots a follow if you can. Is there a certain book or website for me to research different guards and regiments for my own players, or does Only War help me research them all? Only War does not help you research them all. The best way to research guard regiments is the Imperial Guard Codex. So there's free PDFs online of like the 5th edition Imperial Guard Codex. Is there a free PDF of 8th edition? Lexicanum. Lexicanum's also a great place. There is... Don't tell anyone, there is a PDF for the 8th edition Imperial Guard Codex. So you can use that. Plenty of ways to find them. And I promise you that, like, instead of just asking me, taking the 3 seconds to Google search Imperial Guard 40k would show you what you needed to know. I know I do appreciate people asking me, but like there is legwork to do. I'm sorry. You're going to have to do it. Is it worth magnetizing combi weapons? Right now, no. Combi weapons in 40k have been changed to be a complete stat line of strength 4, AP nothing, damage 1, rapid fire, devastating wounds. That is their role now. One shot each. No, spoon feed me like I'm a paraplegic. Any tip on how to figure out poses before gluing? I'm assembling my first enforcer and I don't know what positions to put the arms in. The instructions will tell you. Do you have the instruction booklet beside you? I'm sorry, you're going to have to read. I'm sorry, everyone. You're gonna have to look at the book. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Look at the book. The book has everything you need. The book is there to help you. I've been using Lexicanum for a couple of months. It's made my life so much easier for researching stuff. How do you think I researched the Malal video? But I can't read! Oh, God. Oh, God! But the poses are boring. They look so bleh. Well, sorry. I got nothing for you. Unless you're good at reshaping models, you're kind of stuck with mono poses. It's kind of the main complaint about Warhammer right now, whether it be AOS or 40k, is that a lot of the poses are mono. So how can you write? Oh. Got you there. Wait, they might be using text. They might be using speech to text. Sorry for asking so much. I'm going to do legwork on it and research, but I wanted to make sure if the sources were good. I have shared before other YouTubers that are great for that. Sorry, Ian. Didn't mean to play your video on stream. This guy here, Arbiter Ian. Great person to learn 40k from. His videos are very informative. Like, you can just sit there and listen, or you can watch. It's good either way. He's done lots of videos about, like, the Space Marines and such, but he has done a few videos on the Imperial Guard. I'm trying to find it right now. Like, we have the Siege of Rax, if you want to learn more about the, well, my Death Corps of Krieg. God. The Imperial Militias, which is for, like, Horus Heresy. I think he did a video on Cadia. Where is it? Where's Cadia? Solar Auxilia, that's, again, Horus Heresy. The Astra Militarum Regiments. This video here, really, really good. Real world origins of Astra Militarum Regiments. The Astra Militarum Lore Primer for Cadians. So on and so forth. Really good stuff. Ian's vids are especially interesting as he contextualizes the lore with real-world context. Yes! It's really great. Really, really love the guy. Really appreciate his work in the community. He's actually one of the guys that helped he made special rules for, like, Warhammer 40k using Horus Heresy rules. He was a part of those groups that did that. Trying to figure out what I should build and have. Shouldn't, since I just don't have the magnets. That's fair. On the plus side, kit bashing is a lot easier with plastic minis. Oh, it is extremely easy. I like older models where you can still pose them. So I'm gonna rant a bit here about, like, old 40k models. Fuck, I hated old Space Marine models. God damn it! Like, I was there. I was there at that time where, like, the Space Marine bolt guns, they weren't glued onto their hands. Like, there wasn't a hand. They were just the bolters. And you had to break off the fucking bolt gun. Like, you had to break off the handle. The grip for the bolter. And then somehow glue it onto the fucking hand. Oh, but those were so much better. Are you fucked in the head? That was annoying as fuck. And now imagine if you were playing any other faction that had to do that. Imperial Guard, doing that with your las guns, fucking kill me. Orcs? Oh, but I can pose them however I want. Yeah, and we usually got jack shit poses. I'm sorry, the past was not as beautiful as you thought it was. I'm sorry. Like, if you think 2006 was peak, might I remind you that that was the year Sonic 06 came out. I think our nostalgia's a little skewed. Christ, Sonic the Hedgehog 06 is like nearly 2 decades old. I was 8 when that game came out. With the power of denial, the past is amazing. Arms don't even align correctly with the body. Exactly! If anyone says the past editions of 40k were beautiful, they're fucking lying to themselves. 40k models nowadays, yes, there are complaints to be had. But they are infinitely better than what we had in the past. Also, we all know 2003 was peak. That's when the Eye of Terror campaign happened. Oh. Thank you so much for helping me out. I'm going to do my research and try to make a good game with everything you gave me the sources to, boss. I appreciate it a lot. You're welcome. Modeling-wise, dog shit. Exactly. That's not to rag on, like, the older rule sets of Warhammer 40k, Because, like, if we didn't have those, if they weren't fun, we wouldn't have 40K today. But, like, they still had massive amounts of problems. Let's not bullshit ourselves here. 40K having gameplay problems has been a thing since 40K has been around. The Horus Heresy Fulcrum figure is fucking awesome. Yes! Oh. Victoria got one. I'm so jealous. Victoria got her own fucking model. And I'm sitting here jealous because I'm like, I want a fucking Fulcrum model. I want Fulcrum transfigured. Like, trying to convince Phoenix to let me get Emperor's Children is already painful. And the only way I was able to do it was, like, well, when Emperor's Children come out, it'll be like World Eaters, where, like, they'll probably, like, scavenge off of, like, the main Chaos Space Marine units. You know, like, have a few unique units of their own, but then, like, you'll have, like, Rhinos, Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, that kind of stuff. But, like, they'll have their own infantry, like the Noise Marines, and, like, individual characters, like that kind of thing, you know? And I'll just buy like 3 Noise Marine squads and call it a day, along with Fulgrim, you know? I've been playing since 2nd edition, and genuinely I think that all things considered, 10th is the best version of this game. Ooh, that'll start a flame war. I don't know which edition is the best edition, because remember, I started out in 5th. And 5th edition was its own ball of problems. And then I suffered through 6th and 7th. It's actually amazing I'm still a 40K fan after playing through those editions. With 8th edition breathing new life into 40K, but then also having its problems with stratagems, command points. And then 9th edition with its rules bloat. Oh god, the rules bloat. It wasn't as bad as, like, 7th edition rules bloat, but it was bad. It was bad. 6 made me drop. That is totally fair. I learned today that when I use plastic glue, I need to keep a mask on at all times. It doesn't feel good inhaling that smell. Oh, you huffed glue by accident? May the Emperor rest your soul. I keep trying to make a 40K game for a while, but that is D&D-like, but I think it might be easier to bring my players in as guardsmen to help them. Again, don't use D&D for it. D&D is a terrible system. It works for D&D, but it is so alien to any other concept, it hurts. It's why there are other systems out there. 40K has 3 systems. The Fantasy Flight system, the Eternal War system, and now the new one. Sorry, not Eternal War. Wrath and Glory system. And then there's the new one. The glue huffing is the best benefit of building. But yes, let me regale you with 2nd edition tales at some point, like how the close combat system worked for 1. Fuck, I remember watching Arbiter Ian's video on it. It was... I tried to follow it, and I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? How is this fun? This is like watching that fucking cartoon back in the day where, like, the person's trying to explain the really, really hard concepts of a game. Like, that's how it felt, you know? Like, Christ. I forget what edition D&D is now. I think it's 5.5. It's 5.5. But with how Hasbro is ruining, with how Hasbro's suits are just ruining the game and taking away from creators and how like the CEOs and like the business people of Hasbro are just making the game extremely not fun and inaccessible to tons of people. Even though D&D, the reason why D&D boomed the way it did was through its accessibility. And now, like, Paizo has looked at that open window and said, yeet! And yeeted themselves through it, taking advantage of that. Now Pathfinder is the most accessible tabletop RPG out there. And 2nd edition Pathfinder, it's good, but it has its problems. It's not as easy to understand as D&D 5th edition. I don't care what people say. The fact is, D&D is popular because it had a simple to understand system. A does A, B does B. That is what people are not getting here. If your game is way too complicated, most people are going to ignore it. There is a market for complicated games, but D&D is a gateway into tabletop RPGs. But since it's owned by Hasbro, and Hasbro is ran by liches who don't understand that and just see like, oh, why isn't it making the same amount of money? Maybe it's because you are taking shit away from the player base, so that way they can't use their shit. And you've made D&D Beyond a subscription service, which we're all getting sick of subscription services because, like, if you're subscribed to 50 things, it's draining your fucking bank account. It's all tied back to the economy. And that shit sucks right now. So, of course, like, if people have less money, they're not buying your new fucking books. Like, I did, what's the D&D Adventure League. The guy running it gave all the DMs the special edition of Strixhaven for free. Because he couldn't sell them. The special edition of fucking Strixhaven. For free. Just waiting to hear back until D&D Beyond Plus becomes a thing. Oh, it's becoming a thing. We all know it is. D&D Beyond being the subscription-based, and half the time it has issues, it doesn't work properly, it's just depressing. Exactly. Why the fuck would we use your product if it doesn't work? The problem with D&D is not that it's woke. The problem with D&D is that half its shit doesn't work. Because they're trying to implement shit that just doesn't work. Everything was fine. And then they just were like, here's something that doesn't need to be here. Why'd you put hot sauce in my fucking computer? That's basically it. The problem is not people trying to make orcs much more deeper and complicated. No, I like my fantasy species to have more than just ooh they're evil. No, I like them to be complicated. I like the shades of gray. Thanks. No, it's not that. It's the fact that a corporation keeps trying to monetize something that didn't need to be monetized because they were already making millions. And they're not paying attention because they have to squeeze the balls of whatever property they have and milk it for whatever it's worth before they just abandon it and leave it to die. For what it's worth, Strixhaven rocks is saying it does, but no one was buying it because no one could. I ran a Strixhaven campaign. I tied it in with, like, Magic the Gathering and everything. Had, like, a whole thing where, like, between each fucking semester, which is, like, each fucking chapter of the book, Like, we did a summer vacation thing for all the characters. We visited our Draconic Sorceress's island home, where I had them encounter one of the monsters that they would encounter in Chapter 2, but as one monster, not as two. The second summer vacation, we visited the Feywild for one of our other characters, a moonlit Dragonborn. And then the third semester, we literally went to one of the Magic the Gathering realms, the one where like the dragons initially lost and then they won, and like they met one of the dragons, and like my players are so fucking happy. Tarkir, yeah. I researched Tarkir because of that shit. But did you have a beach episode? The island was the beach episode, motherfucker. I already beat you to it. And yes, the Draconic Sorceress, she had her own harem on that island. It was great. It was hilarious. Warhammer is now my only, like, high-money hobby. Everything else is mostly yo-ho-ho or minimal spending. Yeah, and then these companies are wondering, like, why people aren't buying their shit. And it's because, like, well, no one wants to pay for a subscription service. Like, I pay for Warhammer Plus because I like having access to the vault. Because, like, it helps my job. And two, say what you want about the Warhammer app, I like the convenience of it. It does have its problems. But, like, it has its good convenience. And it's literally no different than buying a fucking codex. I heard harem and not Herald for a second. No, I said harem. I said harem. For the D&D stuff, I said harem. She had a harem. Because Strixhaven encourages you to have relationships. And yes, I did play the voluptuous women. I played it up. I wasn't a fucking coward. I'm a good DM. I'm a damn good DM. Also doesn't help that one of the players predicted the fucking antagonist. They did not read Strixhaven at all. So they didn't know the antagonist. They just knew it from, like, the Magic the Gathering stuff. But, like, they didn't know that they were, like, they're probably putting stuff in, like, he was doing, like, an Alex Jones bit, where it was, like, they're putting stuff in the food to turn people into frogs. And here I am sitting, like, put stuff in the water and food to turn people into frogs. I bet our villain's a frog, DM! Because they were a paranoid cleric. They made their own, they were so paranoid, they made, like, their own food. Like, they did not eat anything from the Strixhaven cafeteria. It was just, I make gruel. I spawn it in. It's tasteless mush, but it's nutritional, and I eat that. And I drink my own water. Christ, bud! But, like, he was objectively correct. Like, what was I supposed to say at that point? Like, I couldn't tell him, but, like, I was just like, okay, you do you, my guy. You do you. Good, D&D sounds like so much fun because of these amazing stories. And that's the thing. That's what makes D&D fun. The stories. You're all working together to tell an amazing story. One of my players looked at me and said, I want to sit on you with Call. We're going to roll, like, we're going to randomize my character. Like, we'll randomize the race, the gender, the backstory, everything. We had a Dragonborn Astral Knight who was betrayed by his former D&D party, left for dead, and his former familiar gave up its life to revive him so he could go get his revenge. And it turns out that the main antagonist of
One
Strixhaven
debt to
was the ones
society
that hired them to do this. And I broke their hearts. I destroyed them. All because we worked together to randomize a thing, and he said, you come up with everything. I have amnesia. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I went, I'm gonna hurt you. And he went, fucking do it, coward. And I proceeded to. I did my job as a DM. Ran a D&D game where players were plane hopping using text. Strixhaven was fun. Most fun was on Innistrad when all the horror stuff was happening. And the villagers were reacting because it was Innistrad. And this was Tuesday for them. Oh my god! He just got eaten! Yeah, that happens. Like, someone's got to do it. I made a randomized characters and they are so much fun. Exactly. Same logic applies to 40k. These are where tabletop games are the most fun. This is where the entertainment of tabletop games comes from. Doesn't matter if it's 40k, doesn't matter if it's Yu-Gi-Oh, doesn't matter if it's D&D, doesn't matter. This is the beauty of tabletop games, that you have these stories to tell. There is always going to be those moments from those games that you remember. Always. I am still asked to this day how I won one of my 40k tournaments against one of the, like, at the time, one of the sweatiest players we knew. Like, how did I beat him? Or another time, back when, like, in my first tournament that I played in, with my Black Reach Boxy Boy Dreadnought, and how he destroyed a battle wagon attempting to run him over in 5th edition. I still remember that. This is the beauty of tabletop gaming. And why it appeals to so many people nowadays. Because we now have people who can share these stories online, whether they be fully animated or just animated stills, or just us talking over it with poorly edited visuals and such, like interacting with each other. This is the beauty of it. My 40k tournament video, like, I do not explain what happens mechanically in the game, like, at all. Well, I do explain, like, what my army does. But I don't go through, like, the roles and shit. I don't say, like, oh, well, I moved my, I moved my Thousand Suns squad 6 inches in this direction to fire upon the Flayed One unit within 24 inches. I don't say that. I say I moved my Thousand Suns unit in range of the Flayed Ones, and I blow them away. Like, they're blown away. Gone. Dead. Because fundamentally, that's what happens. No one cares about the measure 6, move, aim, fire, roll like 18d6, blah, blah, blah. No one cares about that. They care about the actions that happens. Hey, boss, I wonder what happened when 2 blanks meet one another. They... What, are you wanting a bag of holding situation? They don't do anything to each other. It's just like there's 2 blanks in the same location. Like, there might be... It might be a little bit more uncomfortable for you if you're not a blank, but they're just like... Hey, and they're like, hey, or maybe they just fucking hate each other and go, what do you want from me? What happens if I put 2 people in the same room? Blanks don't freak out other blanks. Exactly. That's why I adore the Abyssal Crusade. The opportunity to invent your own Chaos Warband or surviving Loyalist chapter is so much fun to me. This is the beauty of tabletop gaming. And, like, This is why like I do get frustrated with grifters and all these different people. The game, like, they say like the thing is ruined, but it's not. We're still having fun. We're still telling these stories. We're still playing the games. We're having fun. How is the game ruined when we're still having fun? Why does it matter? What the fuck? Like, by all accounts and logics in my tournament video, my Sorcerer and Terminator armor, along with my Scarab Occult Terminators, if we're following the book logic, my army should have just been off the table. They had a Tesseract Vault, they had the Silent King, they had the Nightbringer. Like, in any other book, that's Endgame. That's like Apocalypse. Like, fuck the world. Like, they're unleashing Titanic units on me. But no, gameplay-wise, my Sorcerer went, I'm gonna go fucking Super Saiyan 3, 1 sec. Ha! Doom bolts! And killed it. Causing a chain reaction explosion that killed the Nightbringer. And yeah, like, my entire Terminator unit was dead with my Sorcerer just like... Ah! I have an AdMech army, and I used to have a good understanding of the rules, which I'm gonna have to refresh on. However, I'm terrible. They're still typing. That's the part I don't get, why they care what some of that game they will never play in does or allows. Exactly. Why the fuck do you care? It's why if anyone, like, tries to bring these arguments to me that's not, like, copy-paste, I'm just going to say to them, do you even play the tabletop game? And if they say no, I'm going to say, then shut the fuck up. You don't get to talk. That actually strategize an army and how I should even play in general strategy. How can I improve my just improve general strategy? Okay, I'm gonna pull out the Microsoft Paint for this. Hold your horses, my friend. I got you, homie. 1 sec. Okay. So we got Microsoft Paint here. I'm sorry for flashbanging all of you. There is no way to turn this into dark mode. I apologize. So we're gonna talk brass tacks here. We're gonna talk brass tacks here. So you. This is you. You want to learn how to make army. Well, what do you want your army to do? What is your playstyle? Do you prefer a more defensive playstyle? Do you like to hide behind walls and stuff? Do you like to hide behind walls and shit? Are you more of a let's fucking get 'em kind of playstyle? You know, like you're super angry. You're super fucking angry kind of a thing. Fucking get 'em kind of a thing. You're holding the sword. You're holding the sword not by the hilt, but by the blade, because you're that angry. You're that fucking angry. Are you more of a balanced play style where like you have the wall and such, but like you got like another guy there who's like way more aggressive. You got like the really angry guy there to defend you because like he's a good boy and like he's defending your backline there. What's your play style? You play AdMech. So since you play AdMech are not an army. AdMech are not an army that are beginner friendly. So, how do you, as a new person 40k, or at least a returning player, how do you determine what's best for AdMech? Like, what do they do? Well, AdMech is that strange kind of amalgamation army that is like playing Imperial Guard with Sisters of Battle melee. You got the range firepower and you got the melee. So, what do? Well, the idea is that it's a slow, grinding advance. So like you got your gunners, you got your gun guys back here. Got your gun guys back here. Sorry, I'm terrible at drawing. You got your gun guys back here. And you got your big fucking robots. Your big boys. You got your big boys right here. So, big boys and like the big tank boys too that like are just giant tank treads and everything, you know, that kind of good shit. You know. He's got a cannon. So, like, you got, like, these are, like, your three major players. You got your Skitarii, you got your robots, you got your servitors, and then you got, like, your big melee guys. Like, you got your, like, your rust stalkers here with, like, their little sticks and such. You got, like, little sticks. You got your rust stalkers, and then, like, you got the guys that like ride stuff. They got like the little pony. They got like the doggos and stuff. You got like your riders and such. So when it comes to Mechanicus, it's trying to find the balance of all of these. Trying to balance out your army so that way you have the ranged firepower while you still have like the tough guys in the middle who are absorbing all the shots and dealing out just as much back, while your other units are slowly moving behind the enemy and outflanking them. Essentially, you are trying to encircle the enemy or trying to push them off the board. That is what you are trying to do. You have your units in the far back, like, taking objectives, holding them as everyone else is moving up and pushing. Like, that's the beauty of Mechanicus. They got all of this. And of course, like, yeah, you do got, like, your big vehicles and such. But the key to Mechanicus is the synergy. All of your characters' jobs in your army is to keep your robots and your Skitarii, all of them moving forward, all of them doing their job. Because if I go to Wahapedia, the free encyclopedia, a lot of your characters, like your Tech Priest Dominus, for example, he gives the units that he's a part of 5+ feel no pain. He helps them survive. Put him in a unit with Electro Priest, and it's a 4+ feel no pain. His job is to keep people alive, while also fucking with enemy vehicles, making it easier for your other units to hurt them. Your Mandibulus's job, any unit he's a part of, he gives them lethal. So you put him with Cataphren Destroyers, he gives them auto wounds on 6s. And then once per battle, he can just turn on a force field and protect the unit from the most heaviest of firepower and damage. What about a techno-archaeologist? He stops people from getting into your backline. He has an ability where enemy reinforcements can't be set up within 12 of him. So you use characters like him to space stuff out from your backline so your opponent can't outflank you. The desert is yours. Own it. That is what he is telling you. As well, he's sitting there with a Skitarii unit in the back just going like, yep, come take this objective, motherfucker. Because he improves their objective control by 1. So Skitarii, like Skitarii Rangers, for example, their objective control 3 while he's sitting with them. Any unit that does manage to land back there, they're not taking an objective from him and his Rangers. They have to kill them. Which, Rangers are kind of hard to kill because of that 5+ invulnerable save. If even, like, having 3 guys on there, that's still objective control 9. Like, I have to have 10 Terminators stand on objective to take it from 3 Skitarii. That's how annoying that is. And, like, we're not even talking about, like, the Skitarii Marshal. What does he do? Reroll hit rolls. And any Skitarii unit that's Battle Shock gets to reroll Battle Shock tests. That's great. And then, like, we got the Cybernetica Datasmith. His job is to help the Castellans. Those big, beefy robots. That's his job. And then, depending on your playstyle, he gives them different commands. So, like, I prefer a more ranged approach to my Castellans. Well, Protector Protocol. Add 2 to the attack characteristics of ranged weapons. I prefer punching shit. Add 2 to the attack characteristics of melee weapons. Aegis Protocol. Add 1 to the toughness. And it's in your command phase. So if you're in a pickle and you know that, like, ooh, I'm gonna be taking some fucking damage here. You give them +1 toughness. Those Castellans go up pretty high toughness, you know? Like, what's their toughness right now? It's toughness 9. They go to toughness 10. To win those things on 2s, we need Titan level weaponry. That's pretty fucking spooky. And if there's a Datasmith in their unit, they get a 4-up Feel No Pain. It's all about that synergy. Three Skitarii on a point to 10 Terminators is ridiculous. Like, I am mad blind to little things like this. Welcome to 40k. It's 40 chess. You gotta pay attention to that stuff. The small things are what win you games of 40k. Yes, there are, like, those games of 40k where you get blown off the fucking board. But, like, when you are going into a game and it's back and forth, neck and neck, down to the fucking wire, those small things can pull the game out for you. It's those small things that do it. And, like, that is incredible. And that makes me afraid to push my little Skitarii to that point. But you gotta. You have to do it. In 40k, everything is crew expendable. Everything is going to die. You are going to have to take those risks and those rolls. Remember, this isn't a shonen jump. Your army is not the protagonist here. This is war, motherfucker. And people die. That is the one brutal thing you're going to learn about 40k. The only thing that matters is the points. Is like, as long as you have models on the table, you can still pull out a game. The only thing that matters is your last model. And that's like the brutal reality. And I had to learn to accept casualties. Because, like, I read the books before I played the tabletop game, right? So, like, I remember reading that, like, Space Marines would shrug off las gunfire, auto gunfire, all that kind of stuff. And then here is my Demon Prince of Nurgle dying because he rolled 3 1s to a fucking guardsman squad. When in, like, the books, he would have just, like, shown up. Like, one guy would have been throwing up because, like, he can't handle what he's seeing. Everyone else is, like, melting because of the fucking bile and everything. Nope, tabletop game. I rolled 3 1s. He's dead. Fuck. Yo, you remember when, like, Demon Princess had, like, 3 wounds? Good shit, dude. Yeah, I'm too focused on keeping my troops alive and I lose by attrition. I think it's my downfall. You're going to lose units. You gotta remember that. Just accept that things are going to die. Especially Skitarii. They're tougher than the average guardsman at that 4-up, 5-up. But remember that, like, at the end of the day, they're still guardsmen, just with better saves. They're going to die. And, like, if I sink enough shooting into something, it's going to die. I'm doing Death Guard, and 2 of my friends are also new and just starting out, like me. One's doing Tyranids, and the other's doing Necrons. Any tips on how to beat them? So you're playing Death Guard. Tyranids are already at a disadvantage going up against you, because Tyranids, a lot of their weapons are really short range. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And Tyranids thrive in melee combat. But the problem is that you also thrive in mid to close range warfare, because your main army ability reduces their toughness. Like, your aura, your plague aura effect really fucks with them. So, the way to deal with Tyranids is get in his face. Get your army into the Tyranid's face and stare the jaw of the Leviathan down. Because at that point, it's war of attrition. Most of his units will be down to toughness 2, toughness 3, toughness 4. Like, you will be wounding him. You will be wounding those bugs on 2s and 3s more often than not in close range warfare. The problem is that if they do bring in bugs in the back with ranged weaponry, you're going to have to figure out a way how to get to that back line. Which there are ways to do, but they're expensive, which is a problem. Because, like, Blight Lord Terminators and, like, your Terminator units, fairly fucking good units. Expensive as hell, though. But if you can figure out how to get to that back line and kill those ranged units, you're sitting pretty. Pretty for a Death Guard, by the way. Necrons are going to be extremely fucking annoying to you. Where the Tyranids thrive in melee combat, Necrons thrive in keeping you in a loop of a war of attrition. It doesn't matter how many you kill, some of them will get back up. Whereas you can't. And your opponent will take advantage of that. I can get back up, you can't. And I'm going to keep you at an arm's length, because that's where my army thrives. They want to keep you just outside of your aura range, because that's their max effective range. And they're just going to pelt you and pelt you and pelt you, and then when your units are weak enough, they'll send in the melee units to clean up. And they'll use their melee units to square you off, to just, like, shield everything, keep you away from the important stuff. That is what they do. So, when you're playing Death Guard, it's just keeping the pressure on. You have to keep pushing, you have to keep fighting. You have to force them to play on your terms. You can't play on theirs. Because if you're letting the Necron player keep playing on their terms, you're never killing anything. You're not putting anything down. So when you're fighting Necrons, it doesn't matter. When you fire at a unit, you make sure that unit is entirely dead or extremely crippled. I'm talking like maybe a model left. Because if, like, there's a warrior unit and it has one model left and you need to dedicate the rest of your army shooting to something else, that's okay at that point. But, like, that warrior unit, it's going to get some models back and you're going to have to finish it off later. But, like, that's what you need to do with Necrons. Focus something down, murder it, so it stays fucking dead, and then move on to the next unit. If you do not have proper target priority, you're in trouble. Necrons, find the worst thing in their army, kill it till it's dead, or until it's, like, useless, and then move on, and then come back and kill it later. That's what you got to do. What's up, bro?
Not much. Just checking in on you.
Yeah, we're just talking Warhammer. Ooh, okay, now that I got a Tau combat patrol, what else should I aim for a potential army? I know broadsides are, like, great, so should I go for them? Money's tight, so I have to plan what to get. My brother actually plays Tau, so bro, what's your opinion?
My opinion on the Tau Empire, broadsides are fantastic. Both variants, in my opinion, are great. The heavy rail rifles and the missile systems, they work fantastic. If you're running the missile systems, you'd want at least like a whole squad of 3 of them, and then you're melting anything because they were what, strength 7, AP minus 1, damage 2, which is huge. And since each one gets 2 of them in a whole squad, you're putting out, what was it, 36 shots?
Yeah, I think it was like 36 when you fought Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, high yield missile pods and everything.
Yeah, and the heavy rail rifles are fantastic because they're consistent damage as well. Even if it is the fact that you have to roll for some damage, but you get, with a squad of 3, 6 shots at, what was it, strength 12?
Strength 12, AP minus 4, damage D6 plus 1.
Yeah, and it gets devastating wounds. So you're guaranteed to get your damage there too. But broadsides in general, they're just a really good unit for the Tau Empire.
Yeah, so if you're getting Tau Empire, invest in some broadsides. You need some good anti-tank? There's some pretty fucking good anti-tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing 14 Plague Marines, 5 Blight Lords, and Typhus. You're already on a good track with your Death Guard. How best to expand various combat patrols is a really fun topic. It is. Oh wow, I'll plan next on getting those. Thank you very much. You're welcome. My brother plays Tau, Eldar, and Grey Knights. Whereas I play like Marines, Chaos Marines, Orcs, and now Sisters of Battle. We'll never not fear broadsides and a hammerhead.
Well, hammerheads, they're not as good as what they could be, in my opinion. But if you have a vehicle or a monster, then yeah, you should be scared.
Yeah, like they made hammerheads the official I'm killing monsters and vehicles. It is the tank hunter of 40k.
Yeah, and I can't remember if they gave it a special rule where it gets to re-roll one with its main gun if you re-roll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll.
It has two rolls. Each time you're targeting a monster or vehicle, you add 1 to the hit roll. Each time this model is selected to shoot, you can re-roll 1 hit roll, or you can re-roll 1 wound roll when resolving those attacks.
Yeah, that's it. There we go. So, if you're running a hammerheads, you're going to run at least 2.
Yeah,
and
around 2.
That's about it. Yeah, you don't ever want to try to run 3. But if you're going to run vehicles for Tau, I feel like the Sky or a missile tank would be the best.
Skyray?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's got a Seeker missile rack. This unit is how many? This model. What are you equipped with? 1 Seeker missile rack, so it's got 3 shots at strength 14, AP minus 3, damage D6 plus 1.
Yeah.
Not a bad tank.
Yeah, all you lose really is your devastating wounds.
Yeah, but you get Twin Linked and you get Twin Linked instead, which is just as good.
Yeah.
Vehicles exist, Hammerhead, and I took that personally. But
Back in 7th, yeah.
but if you are getting more Tau, one of the best units that you can get to help support the rest of your army, Pathfinders. Pathfinders are extremely annoying buggers, and the fact like their special ability is like, hey, we get to do the Tau army ability twice, is great.
Personally, I think stealth suits are more the best unit in the army. Just because with the fact that they get the stealth keyword, so they're -1 outside of melee combat, they get the infiltrate rule, and they get the spotter rule, where if you spot something, you give what you're spotting reroll wound rolls of 1.
Hit rolls and wound rolls of 1.
It's hit rolls now too?
Yeah. Reroll a hit
Oh.
roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1.
Cool. And with the spotting mechanic, you get the +1 to hit too, so it's... I feel like the stealth suits are just generally one of the best units for the Tau Empire, especially since you can give the Sergeant a fusion gun, which is your anti-light armor, because it's no longer anti-heavy armor.
From a physical cost to use in the game perspective, I'd highly recommend magnetized crisis suits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you're getting...
I think I have 12 crisis suits.
Yeah,
and I haven't gotten any of them magnetized yet. I had to rip off all their guns with this last edition.
A major complaint about what happened with crisis suits is that they got, instead of being like the jack of all trades unit for the Tau Empire, they were forced into very specific roles with very specific weapon options, instead of being like whatever the fuck the battle suit wanted. So like,
the only cool thing about what they did for this edition is that they're lore accurate, because each squad of crisis suit is like what crisis suits were always fitted out with, and that was their squad's nickname for the operation or whatever.
Yeah, it's lore accurate, but now it's hindered model creativity.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's really helped balance out Tau, because now you're forced to think of different units rather than just Death Starring two 9-man crisis suit squads, which was like every Tau fucking army. Which was fucking stupid. God, I hated fighting that.
I never did that. I just had one. And back in 8th edition, when they gave us the experimental weapons and stuff like that, I gave the whole squad the experimental burst cannon, so they were hitting on 2s with exploding 6s with 6 shots each. And when you give them a piece of equipment, they get AP -1. So I was dropping in a 9-man unit with a commander, so I was giving them rerolls with exploding 6s, AP -1, strength 5 weapons. And each squad had each model had 3 of them, which is disgusting.
I was fluff first in this hobby, which is why I started with Necrons. Did the fluff influence your first choice? No, the fluff did not influence my first choice. What influenced my first choice was my parents. Because my very first, like, Warhammer thing that wasn't just given to me was Black Reach, which was Space Marines and Orcs. So I was stuck with them, whether I liked it or not. So, like, it wasn't a lore thing. It wasn't like, it was because I was a child and I wanted 40K, and my parents were like, "This is the best deal that we got."
Yeah, we had when we were younger, we got a Tau Strike team, Tyranid Ermagants, and the Black Reach box was basically the first things we ever got around 40K.
Yeah. So, like, Black Reach was a great box set, though. We're not saying it wasn't. Like, reflect.
Deathcopters that came out with it.
Oh, yeah, Deathcopters were so good. Sucks that it was the only way that you could buy them. For, like, the longest time.
Back then.
And oh, how they have fallen today. They are not the beasts that they were back in the day. I remember their rocket launchers being so good.
Hey, buddy.
What's up?
So I'm playing Total War 3 as the Sisters of Twilight right now.
Yeah.
I am currently at 12 wars. And one of my defense allies has asked me to join a war against Kairos Fate Weaver.
Oh no.
I have 2 armies in the bottom left jungle where Skull Taker spawns. They're currently wreaking havoc there, trying to get things organized. I don't have any other army. Like, Kairos Fate Weaver is right beside the bottom tree there that's by the 1 elf Teclis.
The terrain in Battle for McCrae, however, is still iconic. That is fair. I don't know if Battle of Black Reach is the best starter box. Because, like, I think Plague War, 8th edition's Plague War, was also a pretty good starter box. Like, I will make arguments for that one. But, like, no, I can see, like, where you're coming from with, like, Black Reach. Because, like, Black Reach came with a captain, it came with a tactical squad, it came with Terminators, it came with a Dreadnought for the Marines, and then for Orcs it was a War Boss, 2 boy squads, a Nob squad, and Deathcopters.
And Deathcopters were huge in 7th edition.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong though, like back in the old days of 40k, Black Reach, best box at that point. But for modern day, Plague War was the best. Indomitus Crusade loses points because, like, it was the start of the Space Marines, like, only 3... Like, it really heavily leaned into, like, only 3 to 6 man units, which annoys the fuck out of me. I hate that my Blade Guard squad is, like, only 6 men strong. I want a 10-man unit? Fuck you. Are the Sisters of Twilight worth playing? I've got their DLC, but I only really bought the DLC for Ikit. Have fun playing Guerrilla Warfare?
I wouldn't say it's guerrilla warfare. I would just say their campaign is enjoyable the moment you like secure your own area, because once you secure your home starting point, then you just start confederating other Wood Elf factions, and it's just a slow and steady slog after that. Like right now, I'm on turn 165. I am currently strength rank 3. I was 1, but I lost an army to Slaanesh. What's his name there?
Ankari?
The Dissident Host.
Oh, Azazel.
Azazel, yep. So I crippled both armies. Like, the cool thing is that you can get your armies to 100% ambush. So you just sit there and you just slowly walk up a canyon somewhere in ambush stance, and they can't do shit about you. So I would recommend going and trying out once, and just before you start your first ritual that you have to do, play it safe make sure you upgrade your thing and have your armies near your home territory, because the rats you would have to face are evil little shits.
Yeah, they're not fun to fight.
No. It spawns 3 rat armies, and they're all on polar opposite sides, so you're going to want more than just one army. It gives you 3 turns to go and get them.
I don't actually remember. Do I have the What Else DLC? Did I buy that for myself while things were on sale?
I just wanted to play it because the twins sit there and ride a giant dragon.
They ride a bird first, and then...
After you do their challenge quest, it
Oh, I do have Realms of the Wood Elves.
Dragon.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I also today there with the $50 MasterCard I got for Christmas, I bought myself your favorite dwarf,
Ah, yeah, Malachi, let's go!
Malachite. Yeah, so I got Malachi and I got the Chaos Dwarf DLC as well.
Oh, here's a question for you. What's your favorite Tau unit?
Mine?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a tough one. Personally, I would have to say the crisis suits still. But if I'm allowed to say like characters, I'd have to say Farsight.
I think
Just because I love the story with him and the fact that you can have a melee thing that's not crude.
I think they were keeping to like units, but like I think if like
Yeah.
someone would ask your favorite character, that would apply too. So
Yeah, so I wasn't entirely sure if it was like how that would fall in. So if it wasn't characters, it would be crisis suits. If it characters were allowed, I would say Farsight. Back in 8th edition, my favorite unit was the 8.
not beating those court allegations there, Farsight. Really got to get used to streaming again. Holy shit. Still happy to hear his
Oh,
favorite...
what elves are coming out in Old World?
Yeah.
Cool.
What else are getting their army back in Old World? Still happy to hear his favorite
Nice.
character is also mine. Farsight is dope. Still satisfied with the answer. Awesome. So, just to let you all know, there is some updates coming our way. First off, on Patreon here, I have started uploading my outtakes. So every time I fuck up, I don't just like stop the recording. Like I experience the fuck up, go from there, and I put them in a compilation, and then I upload them to Patreon to show you guys like the creative process and how I do things. As well, expect the Malal video to be up on Patreon for this weekend, but then out on YouTube the next Saturday as the first video on YouTube for 2025. After that, it's 2 more 40K videos. One on, if I grab it here, a full review of this fucking thing. This fucking guide right here. Should not be called the ultimate guide, should be called the beginner's guide, in my opinion. Because it offers nothing for veterans. It offers tons, though, for newcomers to 40K, which is great.
Do you think they're gonna do one for every faction, or is that...
Oh, that is
General.
for everybody. Like, it is in general. It has every faction within it.
Mm,
Though, another major complaint is that Eldari are all kind of just lumped into one group. So it's not like Craft World Eldar, it's not just Drukhari or Harlequins. They're all under the tag Eldari. as well as same with Tyranids and Gene Stealer cults. Gene Stealer cults don't get their own section; they are just a part of the Tyranids. And like Imperial agents, Grey Knight, not Grey Knights, Imperial agents and Imperial Knights, Christ, and Titans are all lumped in the same group too. It's one of those major complaints that I have. That like they don't get like their own unique sections. They're just like they're lumped in together. So it's not like it really takes away from the uniqueness of those individual armies, which sucks. But like at the same time, like I also get it. It's an organizational thing, and at the end of the day, the difference between the Drukhari and the Eldar is that the Drukhari are sadists who follow the old ways of the Eldar, while the Craft Worlders follow their new way. They're still Eldar at the end of the day. Which faction would you most like to see get a major update for 40k? Leagues of Votann definitely need it. They need an expansion to their army roster. Eldar are getting their new expansion, which is great. All their old Aspect Shrine units, aside from their Striking Scorpion character, are getting new models, which is great, which is what they really fucking needed for over a decade now. What other factions could use expansions? Or like refreshes? Drukhari could use could get some love too. I think Drukhari deserves some love. And then just some like expanded unit rosters for Thousand Sons and World Eaters. More so World Eaters, because they don't have a lot.
How many units do they have again?
Fuck, not enough. Like, they don't even have, like, a unique vehicle. That's the saddest thing. Like, if I go into their index, where's their World Eaters? 1, 2, 3. Like, I'm counting unique. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 unique units. Everything else is cannibalized from the Chaos Space Marine book, and one of those units is just, hey, it's our 8-bound, but bigger. Huh?
You know you want it.
You know you want it. I think World Eaters could use, like, you have, like, the fucking vehicles ready to go. Like, you have the Blood Slaughterer and the Brass Scorpion of Khorne. Just put them in there. Reprint the models in plastic. Put them in there. Not a fucking hard concept. And the Red Butchers. Make a unique Terminator unit for them. And put them in there. Like... GW, hire me. I will make models for you. Not really an update, but I am so curious how they stat out Tiberos. They did stat him out before. He did have stats before.
Oh yeah, Space Shark.
I'm assuming that you still main Necrons. I do not play Necrons. My roommate does. My roommate does, but I do not play Necrons. My main army is Thousand Sons. I main Thousand Sons. But what inspired you to go with your current army and your brother to go with Tau? So for me, Thousand Sons were the first army where I officially went, no, those are my boys. because with Space Marines, I was always shifting from chapter to chapter. I really didn't have a favorite for a long time. I was just kind of like shifting between like White Scars to Dark Angels to Salamanders to Space Sharks to Astral Claws. But to when Thousand Suns got their model line, I was hooked from there on in. I loved their Horus Heresy book. I loved how they played. I loved being like this mad wizard on the table, slinging out psychic spells like crazy. And Magnus the Red was my favorite Traitor Primarch. They are my army. Ahriman is my favorite character in 40k. I love their aesthetic. I love their look. I love their playstyle. They were just my boys from there on in. I also collect Ultramarines, because Ultramarines, I finally picked a Space Marine faction. It was the Jack of all trades, because like I liked their books, I liked their characters. Then it was like I have an Orc army. Orcs were always there. They've always been like that go-to army for me for just like the hilarious fun. Somehow I don't lose with them. I just don't. It's weird. Chaos Space Marines after that, because like, hey, I collect Space Marines. What's the difference between them and like Chaos Space Marines and Space Marines? Chaos Space Marines are just way more aggressive, and I like that playstyle. And then like Sisters of Battle, I am slowly getting into. I'm very excited to try them out, because like, hey, Glass Cannon army. What about you, bro? What guided you to the Eldar, the Tau, and the Grey Knights?
Well, Eldar were the first faction for me, to be honest, and it was just because we watched Lord of the Rings, and I liked the elf culture, and they were basically just the space version of that. So I ended up going with that on for that part, and I loved the Warlock units, and I just enjoyed the aesthetic of the Eldar. And so I ended up starting to collect those. And then when I was introduced to Tau, and I was introduced to the Tau because I was told that in 7th edition they synergized really well with Eldar because they were Battle Brothers at the time. And so I started collecting Tau to help kind of flesh out my army, and I just kind of went down that rabbit hole of my Gundams. And then the Grey Knights was just, I like the demon hunting, just hunting down everything and takes no shit. Right? So.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
How long after starting 40k did you go to your first tournament, and how did it go? Oh, my first tournament in 40k. God.
That was 7th edition, and I think that
no,
was...
that was... I was in 5th edition. My first tournament was 5th edition.
Was it? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because that's where I learned I had to have a codex, right?
Yeah, it was before the big renovations at the store we play at.
Yeah, oh, God. So, little kid me, didn't know that I had to have a codex. And, like, all the guys down there were super nice. When I played against, like, I think it was, like, my first round, my opponent asked me, like, do you have a codex, kid? And I'm like, what's that? And he's just, like, he looked at me like, oh no. Because, like, little kid doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Tells my mom and dad. My mom and dad get me my first codex, which was Codex Space Marines. And then I learned how to play the game from there. Essentially, my first tournament experience was me learning how to play 40 fucking K. Which I learned from there on. I don't remember my brother's first tournament experience. I think it was 7th edition.
It was 7th edition because I didn't have enough Eldar or Tau at the time, and I played a little bit of the Space Marines as well because you have collected enough Space Marines at that time. So I ended up playing with just a bunch of extra Space Marine models that you had.
Right, that was the one where you blocked the way with like 2 Land Raiders.
Yeah, I had 2 Land Raiders, and because back then when you destroy a vehicle, it doesn't get removed from the table unless it blows up. So I just had a goddamn 2 Land Raiders, both died, didn't blow up, and they just blocked 2 pathways. And that crippled the one guy's army's movements, and his army was all about flying across the board, so...
That was funny. I remember the guy complaining about that. He's like, God damn it! So currently, if you take an army of all Phoenix Lords in the Avatar, it's 1,000 points. I really hope that's still the case when they get their book, as it tempts me. It probably won't be, but like, we'll have to see, right? Because like, we know that like Imperial Guard are getting their book first, then it's Eldar, then it's Knights, and then more armies will be announced along the way. Seriously hoping Thousand Sons gets some love. I really want Thousand Sons, but I know it's gonna be Emperor's Children that probably are like the codex after Imperial Knights. Cause like that'd be nice. Cause I really want that fucking Fulgrim model. Desperate for that Fulgrim model. Frothing at the mouth for it. It's a dumb meme list, but it's a cool meme. Yeah. Good shit on the horizon for 40k. Wait, Eldar and Tau were allies? Oh yeah, this will be the last thing I'll talk about tonight. But, so back in the day, when you wanted to bring 2 armies together, unless you, like, were doing a thing with your friends where it was, like, a fun little campaign thing, usually the only way you could bring a second army was to do 2v2s or 3v3s, so on and so forth. 6th edition introduced something called the Allies Chart Matrix. And it was a graph, essentially, with, like, all the factions, and each one had a different relationship to each other. So, like, there were 4 relationship types. There was Battle Brothers, Allies of Convenience, Allies of Desperation, and Come the Apocalypse. Battle Brothers was that both armies trust each other implicitly. Friendly, other HQ, so like other hero choices from other armies could join in other unit squads. So like, for example, this was like the most wildest one to me. Space Marines and Tau were Battle Brothers. So like, I could have Cato Sicarius lead a squad of battle suits, like Crisis battle suits. That's the kind of like wildness Battle Brothers could do. Allies of Convenience was that ground of, you could have both armies, but they couldn't help each other in any way. They were just like, I don't hate you, so I can tolerate your existence, but you stay over there. That's essentially what it was. Allies of Desperation was, you can take both armies together, but you have to follow some stipulations. Units have to stay outside of 6 inches of each other, and if they are within 6 inches of each other, they had to do a leadership check. If they fail a leadership check, both units don't do anything. Because, like, they're eyeing the other one up. Like, you could betray me at any moment, you motherfucker. And then Come the Apocalypse, Not Before, back in 6th edition, was you can't take them as allies, period. Like, you couldn't take them as friends. 7th edition would update the list. Come the Apocalypse, Not Before was Desperate Allies, but instead of 6 inches, it was 12. So, like, you really had to keep the armies apart. But the fucking awful thing is that for both 6th and 7th edition, Eldar and Tau were battle brothers. So you could have Farseers within Tau squads, you could have Tau strike team leaders within Eldar squads, Tau units could benefit from Eldar psychic shenanigans. It was a fucking nightmare. So, like, Tau would marker light your units, and then, like, the Eldar psychic buffs would allow, like, the broadside battle suits to, like, reroll everything. 7th edition also introduced the Ghost Keel unit, which, at the time, was considered one of the most busted units in 40k. Because it had an ability called Wall of Mirrors. So it, along with 2 stealth teams, could just pop up anywhere on the battlefield, treat all enemy vehicles as if firing upon their rear. So, like, you couldn't get cover from them, you couldn't, like, your ass was always exposed to them. Didn't matter where they were, and they would get rerolls, they would get, like, extra armor and penetration. It just was a madhouse of bullshit. And, like, most Tau armies just ran Eldar Farseers and Warlock Councils. Like, you could not find a 7th edition list that didn't have Eldar somewhere in there. And it was extremely frustrating. Because, like, if you were playing any other army that, like, wasn't Necrons, you were getting dick slapped so fucking hard each fucking time. It was not fun. Because it was a game of fighting literal smoke. And hence why the ally ability was heavily nerfed in 8th edition, and then when 8th edition proved to still be too much, it's why we have the ally thing that we have nowadays. Which is, you can only bring a certain amount of points. The allied army does not benefit from the army rule of the major army. They don't even get, like, their own unique army ability, and they can't take enhancements. Unless specified otherwise.
Yeah, one of the other reasons they got rid of it entirely in 8th edition was because of Imperial Knights and Imperial Guard.
Yeah, like, what was the major weakness of Imperial Knights? Lack of board control. Because their entire army was giant walkers, like giant titans. So, like, each knight was like 400 to 500 points. So, like, you could only take, like, about 4 or 5 of them. So, what solution was there? Well, guardsman units were, like, only 40 points for 10 men. So if I just take, like, 120 guardsmen and, like, 3 knights, I'm covered. Leading to the most annoying list, like, the most annoying armies at the early start of 8th edition. Because you could just take knights and guardsmen and they covered each other's weaknesses perfectly. Because, like, yeah, I have to blow through 120 guard to get to the objectives while there's knights shooting at me. So I not only have to bring enough stuff to kill infantry, but I have to bring enough stuff to kill walkers. And, like, back at the start of early 8th edition, that was really hard to do. And, like, armies like Space Marines, like Orcs, like Eldar, like, not Eldar, Necrons, Tau Empire, they all struggled to do that. Especially Tyranids. If you were playing Tyranids back in 8th edition, don't even fucking try. That was the problem. And it's why, like, Knights got capped in the fucking knees along with Guard. It's why you see a lot of the rules nowadays. Like, Tau and Eldar made sure that allies got hit in the knees. Imperial Guard and Knights buried it. And then, like, later on, we saw, like, other problems pop up with, like, Orcs. Orcs changed flyers. Like, the reason why flyers are taken at, like, per 1,000 points is because of Orcs. Sorry about that. It's why flyers now suck in 40k. It's because of us. Oops. I bought my brother... How much was that Tiger Shark again?
It was 200 something, maybe?
Oh, it was more than 200 bucks, sir. Where is it?
It was expensive, and now...
255.
Yeah, and now in this current edition, it can't play the game until the game is half over.
Yeah, it has to start off the board turn 1. It has to come on turn 2, but it can't do anything on turn 2, and it can't fire until turn 3.
So the game is already half over, even though it's got one of the coolest goddamn guns in the game.
And the problem is because Orcs caused a lot of problems. Sorry about that. Though, specifically, it's because the Tiger Shark... It's a mix of Orcs fucking with it and Knights fucking with it. So, like, Titanic units coming off the board can't fire their guns because that's bullshit. Like, they pop up on the side of the board where the enemy is and they just kill everything in sight. Bullshit. So, Titans got nerfed.
Only happened starting 9th edition. 8th edition, they couldn't do that.
Yeah. But now, all the stacking problems... That's why flyers got hit really hard. So again, sorry about that. It has a gun for killing Titans, yeah. But yeah, that's the stream. Please do not forget to, I'm gonna grab my YouTube here. Please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already, or share it around. We got new videos on the way, so I'd very much appreciate that. We're almost at 12,000 subscribers. Let's fucking go. Follow the Twitch as well. Where's my Twitch? There it is. Yo, go follow my Twitch. Y'all know where to go. We're at 1.5k followers on Twitch. That's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good. And don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon. The Patreon adds a little bit of that extra cash, which helps me keep the lights on, helps keep a roof over my head, and keeps my family and me fed. So I'd very much appreciate that. But until next time, everybody, which will be tomorrow, we'll be streaming some gaming stuff from there, and yeah. But the new streaming schedule, for those that haven't seen, we now stream Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, those are for me. I work those days and any other thing that's going on. But yeah, that's the new streaming schedule, and that's how we'll be going forward into 2025. And again, pay attention on Patreon for the Malal video, and then next week will be Malal video on YouTube. So thank you so much. But again, if you cannot support me financially, if you can't join the Patreon, your viewership is more than enough. And please just share my stuff around with your friends who are interested in more in 40k or any other things that I've talked about. So until then, everybody, you all have a fantastic night, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night, everybody.